transforming Africa into the global powerhouse of the future. But with the continent ravaged by wars and poverty, a historian, Ade Sebo, is questioning the commitment of African leaders to achieving this agenda.
Nkrumah always was talking about colonialism, imperialism, and neo-colonialism, colonialism, imperialism, and neo-colonialism. The damage that colonialism has done to the African, and particularly the ruling elite, or the African upper and middle classes, who mimic their life after European values, Western values. The damage that this has done to us, it's something that is beyond the present leadership, and it's something that we have to examine. Our sociologists, our psychiatrists, psychologists, historians have to examine thoroughly.
Now, meanwhile, Kenya's President William Ruto has slammed his colleague African leaders running to the International Monetary Fund, claiming that debt did not in itself rescue African countries. Delivering a speech at the 3rd Pan-African Parliamentarian Summit on Climate Policy and Equity, Ruto also slammed the West for engaging African Union or African leaders in isolation.
As the global financial reform movement considers debt restructuring, the sustainability of debt relief is a major shared concern. Many of the countries in debt distress benefited from debt relief according to the highly indebted poor countries in the 90s. It is clear, therefore, that debt relief did not automatically usher in significant economic growth. In fact, it didn't achieve much. To liberate economies from this vicious cycle, positive growth that is sensitive to climate and biodiversity agenda is needed. This is growth that builds on all our assets.
To other news now, the Judicial Staff Service Association of Ghana, JUSAG, has declared an indefinite strike across the country. The strike, which took effect on Wednesday, will continue today and has the potential to grind justice delivery to a halt. Leadership of the association, among other things, cited failure of government to heed to calls to approve salary increases and payment of arrears from January this year. Here's President of JUSAG, Samuel Afotuotu, addressing the media.
Our salary review was approved by the Judicial Council on 29th March 2023. Same was forwarded to the presidency. We were just waiting for their approval. We've not heard anything. So meaning simply they don't need our support. We hereby declare an indefinite strike. By this declaration of strike, all staff of the service are immediately directed not to report to work from today onwards, unless and until the President of Ghana complies with Article 149 of the Constitution by approving and paying our new salaries with all the arrears from January to date.
Now, economist Professor John Gachi says Ghana's Gold for Oil program lacks transparency and backs calls by the International Monetary Fund to review the program. His comments come on the back of the May 17 International Monetary Fund report, which states that the fund will review Ghana's gold purchase and Gold for Oil programs and associated risks for the Bank of Ghana.
Well, I think the Gold for Oil, there are things that are not very transparent about it. So definitely we need to bring it forward to become more transparent. And that is needed to continue with the program. And there are other things that we can also do apart from the Gold for Oil. We also need to look at the fact that we have now disengaged with vigorous activities in COVID-19. So can we also look at COVID-19 taxes, that levies that we have brought into the country, and take them away, to take away the burden from the people? So these are the low-hanging fruit that we can pluck quickly to shape the economy.
Now, moving on, government and the National Food Buffer Stock Company have been given a 2-week ultimatum by the National Food Suppliers Association to pay back arrears owed to them. Now, the National Food Suppliers Association's contract with the government stipulates that its members must supply food items to the Buffer Stock Company on credit. However, at a media briefing, the spokesperson of the group, Kweku Amedume, said government has been in default of payment to more than 270 members of the association.
we have lost credibility in the eyes of our creditors, farmers and bankers, who are resorting to all manner of activities against our members, all in the bid to recoup their money we owe them. The banks are on our necks to take over our properties and assets because we are in default of the loan agreement we have had with them. We are by this press conference serving notice to the National Food Buffer Stock Company that failure to pay us in 14 days. From now, all the arrears owe our members, we will resort to picketing in the premises of the National Food Buffer Stock Company.
Now, a 9-member Supreme Court panel has, in a 5-4 majority ruling, upheld its decision to strike out the law allowing the cultivation of cannabis for medicinal and industrial purposes in Ghana. The Apex Court in July 2022 struck out Section 43 of the Narcotics Control Commission Act, citing it as a violation of Article 106 of the 1992 Constitution. The latest decision by the Supreme Court on the matter potentially shuts the door on further litigation. Meanwhile, the Rastafarian Council of Ghana has been reacting to the ruling. Here's Chairman of the Council, Pex Pongo.
My first reaction is I pity Ghana, because this is going to give us a little bit of a setback again. While the other countries are in progress, or they are progressing in this field and making and raking in a loss of money or revenue, in Ghana, we are still on the dragging stage. Even the worst thing is that we are importing cannabis products from all over the world into Ghana. We have hemp products. If you go to the shops, you can get hemp products there. I have in my room right now a cream called Kuza, which is 100% Indian hemp cream, because that law is already, the legality is working already.
And in the news, a 2023 Global Modern Slaves Index has put Ghana at risk of exporting its human capital into G20 countries if urgent steps are not taken to address the canker. Releasing the report in Ghana, Executive Director of Challenging Heights urged African countries to urgently put in place laws that will tackle the menace of modern-day slavery.
More than 3.1 million Africans were found to be in forced marriages, while more than 3.8 million people were found to be in forced labor across Africa. The countries with the highest prevalence of modern slavery in Africa are Eritrea with 9% of its population, Mauritania with 3.2% of its population, and South Sudan with 1% of its population. Africa has the highest vulnerability to modern slavery of all regions and is home to the 4 most vulnerable countries.
And that's how we end the 6 a.m. news here on 3FM 92.7. My name is Judith Tandoh. Do stay tuned. Sunrise continues.